Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Monday edition Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hope you all had a great Sunday. The Olympics are in full swing, although I learned yesterday that there is not a majority of you super interested in the Olympics. I still like watching the U.S. whip foreigners behinds and whatever we can do. So saw some swimming last night, and gymnastics was on. So anyway, also yesterday morning news broke about Brian Poole, cornerback of the Florida Gators, most recently with the New York Jets. He apparently has some, well, not apparently, he has signed with the New Orleans Saints. He put it all over his social media, even if the Saints haven't released it. So, a free agent deal with Brian Poole, that would seemingly be the answer opposite Marshawn Lattimore, but provided Lattimore is out for the start of the season, for however long he might be, it could be Poole and Paulson Adebo potentially as your starters, unless you put P-Rob in there. But he was a starter. It was undrafted out of Florida. Was a starter with spent 5 seasons with Atlanta, and then went to the Jets. Injured his shoulder last year, so only played in 9 games, but had 2 interceptions. It was pretty productive. 7 interceptions in 70 career games. So a guy that, again, Sean Payton, at 28 years old, Peyton knows well, spent 5 years with the Falcons. You're talking about another in a long string of free agents that the Saints have signed from the NFC South. And then there's also a report from CBS Sports that the Saints could be interested in reuniting with Brandin Cooks. So get some thoughts on that, because that is that's a really interesting proposition, and I would probably be okay with it. So we'll get into that in a second. Let's say some good mornings here, see what y'all got. Tim Gotro, Trivia Carter, Joey Vincent, good morning. Hey, Truax, good morning. Megan Hurst, Scott Fields, Clark Tiger Davis, good morning. Kelly Presley, hey, Brian and Andy Penn, good morning from Chicago. Congrats to Brooks Curry for being the first LSU woman with gold. That's awesome. I saw that she swam the first leg of one of the relays. That is really cool. So congrats. Nate Green, good morning. Hey, Dad, good morning. Good morning. Brady Smith, Jesse Brown, hope y'all are doing well today. Y'all do me a favor, if you're on YouTube, please smash the like button. I guess we got to get back in the flow. 7:30 is a little early for we've been started, but we're probably going to be back on like this schedule, considering. So Erica will be back at school full time. So meaning, be getting up earlier and getting Drew out of the house earlier and all sort of stuff. So this time, if you're watching live, 7:30ish Central Time is probably when you're going to start to see us more regularly. Samuel Merrifield, thoughts on USA men's basketball? Yeah, Samuel, they blew it yesterday. I think they were up 7, a couple minutes to go, and just gagged down the stretch. I don't think. Listen, leading up to the Olympics, even when they had lost their 2 exhibitions, Moose and I were talking on air, and I kept saying they're going to win gold. Well, then they lost Bradley Beal and Kevin Love because of COVID, and replaced them with Keldon Johnson and JaVale McGee. And at that point, I was like, yeah, no, they're not going to win the gold medal. The international Team USA was still the betting favorite and may still win it. Maybe that's a wake-up call that they needed. They were a heavy betting favorite too at minus 320. I just don't know how you take off 2 all NBA caliber players in Beal and Kevin Love and replace them with NBA players. You know what I mean? Like, France had as many all NBA guys. It's just the international game has gotten so good. So, I think if the best Americans played, if you had Anthony Davis on the team, and you had like the best. Yeah, I think that absolutely win it. But you've had, I think, a general lack of interest among the entirety of the NBA and playing for Team USA. Okay, bye, babe. Love you too. Have a good day. Some of them just favor the rest this time of the year, as opposed to Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Devin Booker, who all on Friday, after the NBA Finals on Friday, they get on a plane. They rendezvous in Seattle, and they're flying halfway across the world. And then Drew Holiday played almost the whole game yesterday. So tough. Let's see, Brian. In any pin, do you think Quan resigns? Yes. That is honestly, Brian. If you follow any of Quan's social media, he's kind of been subtweeting for a while now, and he was in for a workout or whatever. I think the last week or week before was at Media Days. It kind of runs together with having been gone last week, but yeah, all signs point that Quan will be back. So Brian Poole at corner, Quan at linebacker. You do still need a defensive tackle and a receiver. So Brandin Cooks is really interesting. Of course, the Saints drafted Brandin Cooks in the first round back in 2014, and played just 10 games that year. He's only played in 16 games once in his entire career, but played just 10 games in that rookie season. Caught 53 passes for 550 yards, 3 touchdowns. But then forgive me, I said he only played 16 games once. He only started 16 games once. He's played in 16 games, 4 times, 4 of his 7 years. And so, then his second year with the Saints, he had 84 catches for 1,138 yards, 9 touchdowns, along of 71. He became the deep threat that they had not had since Devery Henderson. And then in 2016, had another really productive year, 78 catches, 1,173 yards. I mean, he was super productive. But there was the game in 2016. I have to go back and check which one it was. Where he either didn't have a catch or had just one catch, and he tweeted after the game or said after the game something like, I got to eat too, or something like that. And anyway, and that's the thing I'm telling you, that that's where the turnaround in the Saints organization started, where Sean Payton started his purge, where it was more about getting guys that were a full buy-in to their culture. And after 2017, they got rid of Brandin Cooks, they got rid of Willie Snead, they got rid of Junior Gillette, they got rid of Jimmy Graham. I mean, they shipped out all these guys that were perceived, bad apples in the locker room for guys that were better locker room guys, better culture guys. And here we go. Let's see. Here it was. It was against the Rams. It was November 27, 2016. The Saints beat the Rams 49-21. Brandin Cooks was not targeted once in the game. That was it. And after that game, he was like, I got to eat, got to get mine, yada, yada, yada. Well, whatever. Well, so the Saints traded him to New England. And that ended up being a very good trade for the Saints. Of course, they got with their first round pick, they used it on Ryan Ramczyk. So you flipped Brandin Cooks into Ryan Ramczyk, and then of course a year later you drafted Michael Thomas in round 2, and you replaced Brandin Cooks with the best receiver you've had in history, and meanwhile Cooks spent just one season in New England, where he was a 1,000-yard receiver, 1,082 yards. Then 2 seasons with the Rams. First season there, he had 80 catches for 1,204 yards. And then his second season with the Rams, his production saw a little bit of a downtick, but he only played in 14 games. And then they traded him to Houston, where he spent last season on a miserable football team, but still caught 81 passes for 1,100 yards. I mean, Brandin Cooks has been massively productive everywhere he's been. The problem with Brandin Cooks is he hasn't been able to stick anywhere, which makes you wonder, like, is he a locker room guy? But if you need a legit number one uh, in Michael Thomas's stead, I mean, Brandin Cooks can still be that. So I would very much welcome that. Let's see. Jonathan Martin, good morning. Brian Wynn, good morning. Scott Edwin Capel, or Keppel? I'm going with Capel. I know Capel. Not sure if the Pels are going to keep that number 10 pick. What do you think about Cam Thomas to the Pels at 10? Scott, listen, most mock drafts have Cam Thomas a little lower than 10, but I'd be fine with it. The thing New Orleans needs more than anything is shooting. They have to get offense. They have to get shooters. And Cam Thomas is that. I mean, 10 seems high, but yeah, I'd take him. Charlie Cavell, good morning. Tommy Matthews, good morning. Does Mike Remus? Nolan Daigle, good morning. Hey, Tommy, does Mike Thomas play down for the Saints this year? Yeah, for sure. Daniel Cass, why did Mike Thomas have surgery so late? Good question, Daniel. And I'm going to make a few calls today. Someone, I think it was I'll shout him out. It was Carl the Cat the other day, who was like, that was really selfish of Mike Thomas to have surgery so late in the summer. Listen, those guys are under medical advisement. Like, there is no way Mike Thomas would be negligent in just waiting to have surgery so that way he would miss the season. Like, that's foolish. Clearly, he was under medical advisement, however they were going to do it. He had one surgery already. This apparently is the second one. Is it concerning? Absolutely. When you have a guy that's battled this injury for a year now, almost a year now. But I do want to hear the full explanation as to why now. Like, maybe he just wasn't when they were starting to train and ramp up. Maybe he injured himself again, whatever it may be. And Keith Darda said, wish you would trade Michael Thomas. There's no way, Keith. You signed Michael Thomas to a 5-year, $96 million contract. He's a phenomenal player, and he's worth that contract when he's healthy and right. You just didn't, like, you're a prisoner of the moment because he was injured last season, but you forget the season before, he was literally he had the best receiving season in the history of the NFL. I mean, he caught more passes in a season than any receiver, obliterated the record, as a matter of fact. So I want that guy, man. I want that guy healthy. I want that guy to help accentuate the next quarterback. So, no, man, I want Mike Thomas back. I want him healthy. And on top of that, you're just not going to find a trade partner that's going to take on a contract of that size. Because not only would someone have to take on that contract, but they would also have to give you assets requisite or equivalent to Michael Thomas, which would probably be like multiple ones, So I just can't see anybody doing that, especially with him coming off an injury. Jeremy Birch, morning, Matt. Thoughts on Brian Poole? I like it. Went through that a little bit ago. Really like that he's only 28. He's been really productive since he's been in the NFL. 5 seasons in Atlanta. Was productive this past year with the Jets, but hurt his shoulder. So yeah, I like it. It's kind of the kind of guy you needed to get. Eric Hart, Catholics football schedule this season is badass. Hoping the new regime can keep the trend rolling through the non-district gauntlet. Eric, Catholic may go 5-5 this year, but they're going to win the state championship again. They'll win all their district games, and they could lose all of their like they're going up to Maryland to play some DC area like juggernaut team up there. They're playing Acadiana and West Monroe. I mean, they ain't scared, but Lafayette Christian, I don't know, but I'm tell you this much, man. They're gonna win state again. Book it. Hey Matt, are y'all gonna stay close to the Rose Bowl? Brian, you know what? We're going on. Hey, I need y'all's feedback on this too. So we're going with Jason Ramazan's group, which is Mr. Fun's Travel, and we are. I think there's 2 hotels. One is the Lowe's, and the other is maybe the Fairmont or Fairfield. I don't remember. Anyway, but I think we're at the Lowe's, which, look, nothing's really, unless you're staying in Pasadena, you're not close to the Rose Bowl. But I told y'all this. I think I might have told y'all this. So if you remember 3 years ago, Cole Tracy, the kicker, his dad Kent, when Cole hit the walk-off field goal against Auburn, Kent was videoing the game watch party at their home in California, which they live in a suburb of LA, and the video went viral. And I noticed because he's got this bar in his house, which was incredible. Come to find out, had Kent on the show, the bar is basically Kent Tracy had an uncle who is like a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's all movie set props. So he built this bar to look like a 1800s saloon. It's phenomenal. And actually, Cole sent me a picture yesterday. They've updated it with a lot of cool stuff, like his jerseys are framed and all of his awards and stuff. Anyway, well, Kent was like, "Hey, I'm having a big party Friday night before the game at the house at the bar. If you want, come do the show from the bar." So I think our options for AFR on Friday are either do it at the hotel where we're staying, or go to Kent Tracy's house and do it from his bar. I was thinking I might want to do that option. The issue is logistically, it's like 45 minutes away. So, I mean, it's LA. Everything's so sprawling. I mean, you have to drive ways to get there. But I don't know, I'm kind of down for it. Let's see. Jesse Brown. Morning, Matt. Do you think the Saints use Taysom Hill as a running quarterback since Thomas is out? Jesse, with Michael Thomas out, I think it's even more of a reason to have Taysom in the sort of slash role, because you're going to need playmakers, and I would like him in that role. Brady Smith, I would have liked to see Zion play in the Olympics. That's a great example. I don't know if he went through tryouts or was invited. I really don't even remember. Cliff Nelson, Nicholas Cantrell, Josh Giraldo. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Is Devery in your top 10 all-time LSU receivers? Probably. I mean, off the top of my head, especially if you consider his pro career. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways to cumulatively grade that. I mean, Jamar Chase and Josh Reed both won the Biletnikoff, so they've got to be there. Of course they would be. It's harder for me to judge receivers from past eras because the statistics just aren't going to be there. But, like, of course, Eric Martin was phenomenal in his era. I love Todd Kinchin. I couldn't tell you about, like, Carlos Carson or guys that I hear of but played in the 70s or the 60s, and I just don't know. But in this era, of course, you throw Jarvis and Odell in that mix with the other two I just mentioned, and then you've got Michael Clayton for sure, and I think Justin Jefferson would have to be in there, and I think you don't go too much further down the list before you get to Devery. Where are we? Let's see. Stephen Miller, good morning. Will Hildebrand, good morning. Let's see. Steven secured our game tickets Friday night. We're trying to catch you guys Friday, 104.5 does. So Stephen, we're either, like I said, for our broadcast, we're either going to be at the hotel, which I believe is the Lowe's, or at the Tracy's bar on Friday. And then Saturday, I'm almost positive Saturday, we're going to be doing pregame from the hotel. And then we'll get on the bus to go out to the pregame tailgate party. Let's see, Brady Smith staying in Santa Ana. I'll be attending a wedding in Costa Mesa on Friday, driving across LA to go to the game. Awesome. It's going to be a great trip, man. Jared Wrinkles do it from Kent's bootleg, some of that Tennessee bourbon over there, too. I love it. Wendell Davis. Yeah, of course, I should have mentioned Wendell. Good point. Terrence Tolliver, Cliff, I would take Devery's career over Terrence Tolliver's. But I think you're probably in the ballpark there. Steven, top 10 lists of all time are so subjective, mainly used for filler talk. List guy, right? What's the bit we're doing? Feigned indignance from Sports Talk Radio guy on random summertime list, sports list, something like that. No, but that's just interesting. I mean, the way he asked the question was more like, where would you put Devery in the pecking order? And it's an interesting question when you've had some all-time greats. But he had a really good. Dever had a really good pro career. Hey, Kelly Gross, good morning. Brandon English, good morning. Brian and Andy Penn, do you know what Josh Reed is up to these days? Last I heard, he was coaching a little bit and going back to school to get his degree. Maybe trying to find his way a little bit. What about Terrace Marshall? Yeah, I think if Terrace hadn't been behind Chase and Jefferson and hadn't battled injury and opted out, probably a different story. See, I would put Terrace Marshall in the same category as like Ruben Randall, who was 5-star, super highly rated, very productive, which is that sort of in a little bit of an up and down career. But then again, Randall played during an era where LSU didn't throw the ball. Let's see. All right, any more? Might be about ready to wrap this up, y'all. Tim Gautreau. Let's just hope Thomas and the Saints get the ankle injury fixed once for all. Hate to see a great player have a lingering lower leg issue in his prime. Completely agree. All right, y'all. We're just about to wrap this thing up. As always, shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. You need an orthopedist? Go to Brock. Maybe that's where Mike Thomas should go. And of course, love to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection from Hudco. You go to hudcoroofing.com, fill out the contact form. We will be in touch, and we will get you set up with a free, no obligation roofing inspection ASAP. You do not have to be home, and no one has to come into your house if you're leery of COVID. So, hudcoroofing.com, hudcoroofing.com. All right, y'all, I think we are just about done. All right, yep, that's going to do it. Locked on LSU returns today. Took a week off last week while we were in Hoover for SEC Media Days, but Locked on LSU returns today. So be on the lookout. And then, of course, AFR3. So we'll see y'all then. Take care. Peace.